8 feature modules, 8 design themes that could go their own direction, colors hard-coded in one screen, spacing values duplicated in another, typography defined 3 different ways across the code base. This is the default trajectory of any large Compose app. Design entropy that silently accumulates until a rebrand costs you 2 sprints. There is a better way and it costs almost nothing to set up. In this episode, we build a design token system on top of Compose Multiplatform's CompositionLocal machinery. One theme, one object accessor, 5 token categories. Change any token in one file and every screen in every module responds immediately on Android, iOS, desktop, and Wasm. We are looking at the real implementation inside my Eurostat app, EurostatTheme, the accessor object, and the complete token system that drives 20 UI components across 8 feature modules. Every line of this code is in the repository right now. Let's build it. First, a quick orientation. Compose for Android and Compose Multiplatform share the same Compose runtime, the same state system, the same recomposition model, the same modifier API, the same layout system. If you know Compose for Android, you already know 90% of Compose Multiplatform. What Compose Multiplatform adds is a Skia-based renderer for targets that do not run on Android. On iOS, Compose Multiplatform renders into a layer via Skia. On desktop JVM, it renders via a swing window backed by Skia. On Wasm, it renders into a canvas element. On Android, the normal Compose renderer runs, Skia is not used. The practical implication: your composables compile and run unchanged on every target. The only exceptions are platform-specific resources, fonts and images bundled via Compose resources, and anything that needs a platform API by nature, like accessing the camera. Everything else, including theming, lives in common main. A design token is a named semantic value, not a hex color but the paper background, not 16 dp but the base spacing unit. The name carries meaning that survives a rebrand. When the designer says make the accent warmer, you change one value in one file, and every composable that said euro.colors.colors accent picks up the new value at next build. Without tokens, you search for every instance of the old hex string across every file. You miss 3. The product manager files 3 bugs. You lose an afternoon. The token vocabulary for my Eurostat app has 5 categories: colors, paper, ink, accents, worn, and muted variants. Typography, 11 named text styles from display, large down to tabular numerals. Spacing, an 8-step scale anchored at a 16 dp base. Shapes, border radius values. ModuleAccents, per feature color identity that lets each of the 8 modules feel distinct while sharing the same system. Open EurostatColors.kt. It is a data class with 10 properties. Notice none of them are named after colors. There is no navy blue or warm sienna. There is paper, paper alt, ink subtle, muted, muted alt, accent, soft, worn, and grid. Paper is the primary background, the sheet everything sits on. Ink is primary text. Accent is the brand color. Worn is for stale data indicators and error states. Grid is a translucent stroke used in chart backgrounds. The light colors function and dark colors function both return an Eurostat colors with the same property names but different underlying color values. Light paper is hex FFA3, a warm off-white. Dark paper is hex 15 and 1 honey tone. Accent lifts from muted navy in light to a lifted blue-gray in dark for sufficient contrast. Because the names are semantic, swapping light for dark is just choosing which instance of Eurostat colors to inject. No composable needs to know which theme is active. Open EurostatTheme.kite. At the top, 5 private vals. Each is a composition local, created with static composition local of local EurostatColors, local EurostatTypography, local EurostatSpacing, local EurostatShapes, local ModuleAccents. CompositionLocal is Compose's mechanism for ambient values, set once at the root, read anywhere in the composition tree below without threading the value through every composable parameter. Material theme uses exactly this mechanism for colors, typography, and shapes. We are building one layer on top of it. Static versus non-static is the choice. Static composition local off tells Compose the value will never change mid-composition. When it does change, because you swap dark for light, Compose invalidates the entire subtree. For tokens, this is what you want. Use the non-static variant only for values that genuinely change frequently within a single composition, like a scroll position. Locally dark uses composition local off. It does change when the user flips the system theme, so we keep it non-static for efficient partial recomposition. The Eurostat theme composable takes a dark theme boolean defaulting to is system in dark theme, then builds the full token set, colors, typography from bundle typography, spacing, shapes, module accents. It constructs a material color scheme by mapping our semantic tokens onto materials roles. Primary becomes our accent, background becomes our paper, surface becomes paper old. This is important. We keep material theme underneath so that material components like text fields, snack bar host, and dialog surfaces pick up our palette automatically. We do not replace material, we sit on top of it. Then CompositionLocal provider pushes all 5 locals into the composition tree. Inside that provider, material theme wraps the content. The result, any composable anywhere below this root, inside any of the 8 feature modules, can read euro.colors.accent without knowing which theme is active, without receiving the value as a parameter, without any coupling to the host application. The EuroObject is the public surface of the token system. 6 properties. Each is annotated with composable and read-only composable and reads from its corresponding composition local. Annotate read-only composable is the key annotation. It means the property can be read in any composable context, including as a default parameter value for a composable function. Without it, the compiler rejects reads outside a composable lambda. With it, you can write something like modifier equals modifier.padding open paren, euro.spacing.base close paren inside a default parameter, and the compiler accepts it. Call sites look like this: euro.colors.accent, euro.typography.mylarge, euro.stapsing.base, euro.typography.myarge, euro.moduleaccents. Dot for module, open pareren, close pareren, compare to material theme.color scheme.primary theme.primary, same design, same performance. The Euro object is homomorphic to material theme. Feature module developers use one accessor and get the full system. Adding a new token means adding one property to EurostatColors and one value to light colors and dark colors. Open EurostatTypography. 11 name styles. Display large at 40 SE bold, negative letter spacing for headlines. Body large at 16 SP to tumble large at 22 IBM Plex Mono with the tumble font feature setting. The tumble feature is the one most developers forget. It forces all digits to the same advanced width, tabular numerals, so that a column of numbers like GDP values across years aligns perfectly without extra layout tricks. as standard text fonts use proportional digits where the digit 1 is narrower than the digit 8. In a data-heavy app showing statistical tables, proportional digits look amateur. Bundle typography loads Inter and IBM Plex Mono from Compose resources. Default typography falls back to font family.sans-serif and font family. Monospace for context outside the composable static CompositionLocal initialization requires a non-composable default. This pattern lets us initialize the local safely while still providing real fonts inside EurostatTheme. Open EurostatSpacing, 8 properties on a 4dp grid. XXS is 2dp, XS is 4, S is 8, M is 12, base is 16, L is 24, base is 32, XSS 48. Base is 16dp, the standard page gutter. Every screen uses euro.spacing.base as its horizontal padding. Every card uses euro.spacing.base as its horizontal padding. Every card you create in 5. The grid ensures visual rhythm across modules without coordination between feature teams. Why not just use 16dp directly? Because 16dp is a magic number. When the design system adopts a 12dp base for a compact layout variant, you change one default value and the entire app responds. Direct dp literals require a grep and replace that you will never fully complete. The same argument applies to shapes, border radius values, and elevation. All of these live in the token system for the same reason. One file, one change, whole app response. Open ModuleAccents. Each of the 8 feature modules has a distinct accent color. Population is a muted green. Economy is gold. Environment is teal. Trade is amber. Transport is slate blue. Tourism is coral. Social is violet. Science is indigo. These accents drive 3 things per module. The colored stripe on the module app bar component at the top of each screen. The active state of the segmented control and underline tabs. The filled area in area charts and the bars in bar charts via the chart defaults that read from module accent. The forModule function takes a string module name and returns the accent color. A feature screen calls euro.moduleaccents.forModule with its module name and gets the right color without knowing anything about the other modules. This lets a designer reskin a single module, change population from green to teal without touching the other 7. The color identity is centralized in one data class but separated per module. Let's make this concrete. Open PopulationScreen conceptually and trace the tokens it uses. The screen wraps in EurostatTheme, so previews and isolated tests work without a host application. It reads euro.colors.paper for the background modifier. It reads euro.colors.paper for the background modifier. It reads euro.moduleaccents.forModule population for the app bar accent. The metric headline component reads euro.typography.displayLarge for the big number. The year scrubber reads euro.spacing.base for thumb size and euro.colors.accent for the active track. The country chip reads euro.shapes for border radius and euro.colors.soft for the selected background. The stay banner reads euro.colors.worn for the sienna background that signals stale cached data. 0 hard-coded color values, 0 hard-coded DP values. Every visual decision is a name token. A designer looking at the screen can map every pixel to a token name and change it without opening a single feature module file. Here is the bottom line. Static CompositionLocal off gives you ambient values without parameter threading. The Euro object with read-only composable gives you a clean call site indistinguishable from material theme. Semantic names make tokens refactoring safe and rebrand ready. The 8-step spacing grid and 11-style typography scale give every feature module a shared visual language enforced by types, not conventions. The entire token system is under 300 lines of Kotlin, or across 5 files. It drives 20 UI components and 8 feature modules across Android, iOS, desktop, and Wasm. Adding a new token is 3 lines. 1 property in the data class, 1 value in light colors, 1 value in dark colors. The My Eurostat app repository has every file open and working. Open EurostatTheme.color.composable provider to a composable call site. The path is 4 hops and completely transparent. Do a composable call site. Subscribe for more on Android AI tooling and Kotlin multiplatform. Next up, charts from scratch on Compose Canvas. 1 library, every platform.